Hey all, and welcome back to Sister Scoop for another round of Marvel news. This week we've got some very interesting news topics to cover, and they're kind of across the board. I'm going to start with the very first one. I'll kick it over to Taylor to introduce fully, but we have unfortunately, and I mean, it is a very sad tragedy that this has happened, and we're going to talk how you guys can sort of contribute to at least helping in some way. But there unfortunately was a death of a crew member on the Wonder Man set. They weren't filming, but Taylor, how about you kick it off a little bit more?
Yeah, so this is a really, really sad story. It was kind of the biggest story coming out this week, at least that I was seeing in the world of Marvel. Unfortunately, there was, a rigger who was working on the production. Again, like Katie said, they were not actually in production at the time. Sounds like they're getting ready to, or they were getting ready to kind of come back and maybe do some reshoots. But, it sounds like he fell, and unfortunately, he did die, which is a true tragedy. It's so sad. And, anytime that someone dies in the Marvel family, it's obviously very sad, but especially knowing that that person died while working on the show is just it's so sad beyond words.
Yeah, it truly is. And to give you his name, and I have it written down here, it's Juan Carlos Osorio. He, unfortunately, from what I've been reading in the articles, fell from a catwalk and has since passed from his injuries there. But there is a GoFundMe. I don't have the official name, but if you guys just search his name again, that's Juan Carlos Osorio, and with GoFundMe, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. I found it very easily, and uh, you know they are looking into, and I do want to bring this up, they are looking into seeing if it's a potential structural failure. So there may be some legal things that are coming out of this in the future. We definitely want to keep you guys updated because, again, to Taylor's point, anytime we lose anybody in the Marvel family, it is a tragedy, and we definitely want to make sure we can support in whatever ways we can.
Yep, absolutely. There's no delicate way to segue into much lighter topics, so we're just gonna do our best here and move on to Josh Brolin talking about potentially the return of Thanos, which is, interesting. He's heard some rumors in the grapevine at Marvel. He's currently doing press tours for Dune 2. And, it came up that he's heard a few things about Thanos returning. So, definitely interesting. As we all know, he was such a big part of phases 1 through 3, that big culminating baddie. He did mention, he's been in What If. We've seen him since his demise at the end of Endgame, but the door's not closed on Josh Brolin coming back.
This excites me. I'm going to be honest. I mean, okay, you can never say you love Thanos because you don't. Like, obviously, you do not. But I do love him as Thanos. I think he is an amazing actor, and he brings so much to playing a massive purple grape that you wouldn't have thought. And I also, I mean, to your point, he's been back for What If. We have What If season 3 possibly coming this year. That's still to be decided. But, to bring him back would be epic, especially when we've been hearing a lot of conversations about even, RDJ coming back, Chris Evans. There's been a lot of rumors floating around about some of those, OG Avengers or even just phases 1 through 3 guys who have kind of, I don't want to say retired, but almost for lack of better words, from the MCU, possibly making a return. And we are headed towards arguably one of the easiest ways to do it, if you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we've talked about a lot, which is, of course, the limitless potential of the multiverse. You could bring in Thanos from any year you want from the past. You could bring him in from another universe. You could have, we saw one of the things that I was reading when I was preparing for this was they pointed out we saw Thanos in the universe with Reed Richards, which I know we know the number. It starts with an 8 and I'm blanking right
838.
now. Thank you. We saw
Yep.
838 Thanos. Well, we saw a dead 838 Thanos. And so, we've seen it already. The precedent is there. We could see a live Thanos from a universe that we haven't explored yet because clearly, like any other character, he exists in multiple forms in multiple universes. So there's, again, like you mentioned, limitless possibility. We could do anything with any of these characters at this point. the multiverse makes death really not an issue when it comes to storytelling. So as long as it fits the story and it makes sense and it adds something instead of it just being, some kind of weird callback, then sure, yes, do it. I just don't necessarily, a lot of the articles were saying don't make it a crutch, and I totally agree. I think it needs to make sense for the story, but if we can do it in a way that is right for the character and right for the narrative that we're trying to tell, I'm all for it. Like you said, he nailed the role. He was great. There's a reason we're all terrified and in awe of Thanos simultaneously, and that's Josh Brolin's portrayal of the character. So, yeah, love to hear it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, there's something I think we've talked about endlessly really since the multiverse conversation came on board is let's not use it as a crutch and sit here and bring back characters that don't need to be brought back. I mean, personally, I don't need to see RDJ again because I think they finished his story off very well. Even a different universe
Agreed.
as Iron Man or version of Tony, it's interesting, but I think, he's a great example of one that I would be okay if they let just rest how they told the story. And I know we've gone into this detail before, but I would like to see more Thanos because I think there could be Thanoses out there that are like so nice. Like imagine the fact that he was out. No, but really, like he came out here after wiping half the universe and was like, "Let me farm." And I think that version of Thanos, without the wiping half the universe, he could have been my bestie. Like we definitely could have gotten along. So I would be so happy to see these random versions. I think actually one of the what if episodes in season 1 kind of had like a really docile Thanos. I think he was hanging out. I think it was the T'Challa one.
I
I'm
think you're right. Yeah, wasn't he friends with
yeah.
T'Challa? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Like there are definitely other versions of Thanos out there that are just chilling that I kind of want to see. Like it would be really interesting. But I do just want to say one last thing on this topic, and it's that Thanos is actually the most killed villain in Marvel. And so it would be very interesting to bring back this character again, especially you have his brother on the board now. Eros is around.
True.
And, maybe we could see another one of his deaths because he is revived a lot in the comics.
Well, not to mention, I mean, he has an obsession with Lady Death. So if that storyline is something that we can do now because we didn't do it the first time, all right, I am open to that possibility.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of ways to go if you want to bring him back. And he's not, he isn't an RDJ or he isn't a Captain America out here that are going to have huge repercussions bringing them back in any form. He's Thanos, like kind of
Just
different.
kill him again.
Yeah. Literally comic books are there for a reason, right?
Yep. Just go for it.
Yeah, 100%. And then just to pivot to our final subject of the day, we have 2 minutes left. And this is more of a continuation. We're well aware of the fact that this person is no longer part of the MCU, but we have been covering this since the news broke, I believe last March, and it is about the Jonathan Majors trials and verdicts that have been going on. And it's that his sentencing has been pushed back. I'm not really much into the legal jargon. I was trying to read to understand where things went. T, I'm sure you can talk a little bit more about it.
I can try because I also
Okay.
am not a lawyer, but it sounds like they made some sort of appeal to basically postpone the sentencing. Sounded like it was pretty, unremarkable in terms of like the actual legality behind it. So I don't think there's anything really to, hang your hat on there. Just basically push the sentencing back to April. So we're now going to just wait another 6 or 8 weeks to figure out exactly what's going to happen to Jonathan Majors, whether he'll serve jail time, probation, community service, whatever that looks like. But yeah, so it's kind of a non-update update in the sense that we were supposed to get a sentencing earlier this week and it didn't happen. But now we have to wait until I think early April is what the date sounded like it was being pushed to.
Yeah, I think so as well. And obviously, as I kind of led up into saying this person, Jonathan Majors, is no longer going to be part of the MCU, but we will continue to cover, the story just because we have been, and he was supposed to be playing Art Kang. So it's important to us to continue to kind of keep everybody updated on, what's been going on.
Yep. And I think with that, we are coming in right on time. So I won't be too loquacious with our ending, but this has been Sister Scoop for this week. Make sure that you check us out again next week for whatever is trending in Marvel because we are going to be covering it. Thanks.
Peace out.